Alright, ladies and gentlemen, very well done for making it through what was, let's be honest, a pretty marathon session there, um, with the banana market and the depth of market side by side. I never envisaged it would come out as 3 hours, but I'm really happy that it has come out as comprehensive as it has. And let me tell you why. This is going to be a quick review, and then I'm just going to show you the next steps, as you've obviously come towards the end now of the foundational program. And this is literally, in my opinion, the most important part of the program, because it's going to um, give you the foundation for all the things that follow, the tools that I use, volume profile, VWAP. A lot of people will be thinking, oh, I don't want to watch the depth of market going up and down all day. And you'll be glad to know that um, I also don't necessarily recommend that you use that long term. But the reason I spent so much time on it is because if I look back over my career and I think of, what's the, if there was one thing, obviously there's many factors that have contributed to my success, but if there was one major factor, I have no doubt it was the depth of market. Um, Now, I spent many months looking at it, almost a year, I think, without the charts. I don't necessarily think that's optimal for you to do that anymore, just because I told you the landscape has changed. But the crucial thing that I don't think people will appreciate until they've done it is just how much watching this thing is going to give you an understanding of the footprint, cumulative delta, volume profile, and mainly these two, the volume profile and VWAP, just because of obviously the way you saw the profile being built. And I mentioned this at the start of the module where I said, why are we watching the depth of market? Why are we doing or spending so much time on it? And I said, well, it determines how volume profile is built. So you can imagine, look, guys, at the end of the day, um, I don't necessarily suggest that you go out there looking for one or two ticks at a time. And obviously, depth of market is a lot of granular detail. But what you need to appreciate, and again, it's very difficult for me to get this point across until you've been using the depth of market, and then you move on to volume profile, and you've basically done everything. You will look back on this, and you'll be thinking to yourself, oh, the whole market is what the depth of market was showing me over a few prices. The market is doing it over a massive range of prices. And I'm just going to show you that in the volume profile in a moment. The reason I'm saying all of this, guys, is don't skip over this part. It's the most important part of your education, because it's going to give you the grounding necessary to understand volume profile, VWAP, better. And I said it before, and I truly mean it. If you can get yourself to spend 2, 3, 4 weeks on the depth of market. I said a couple of months in the timetable bit. If you can do 1, 2 months, brilliant. But at least get yourself up to speed on some of the things we talked about. So there was the market orders versus. So I just write this down: market orders versus pending orders. So that's demand. So I've done a slide after this that summarizes this anyway. But let's just remind ourselves of demand versus supply. So demand was the market orders, which is the middle column, and then pending orders or passive intent was supply, right? So again, that is the aggression versus passive intent. And let's remind ourselves why that's so important, because at the end of the day, it's the demand side of the equation that's driving the footprint, that's driving cumulative delta, that's driving volume profile, that's driving VWAP. So that's why it's so important to understand aggression. But why is it also important to understand supply and passive intent? We're not going to be using this, at least if you want to trade the way I do, we're not going to be using the supply side so much in building an edge. So that means you're off the hook with the depth of market, because depth of market is the only place where you see the supply side. But yeah, like I said, we're not going to be using it, but it's so important. Why you understand it is because you need to understand. Conversely, it's quite funny when you think about it, paradoxically almost, you need to understand supply to understand why demand is so important. So what I mean by that is when you watch the depth of market and you watch supply and how it behaves with demand, it should really start to register to you that, oh, demand is crucial. Supply is all well and good, it's great, but again, another thing that I want you to understand, and I've put in the summary side, is supply can be manipulated, right? We don't know how much of supply is actually real, how much isn't. Whereas with demand, it's 100% real. If you place a trade, you've taken risk. You can place supply in the market and pull it. There's always quite a lot of supply in the market. You're never really going to run out of prices to trade at. And also the supply side of the equation is usually driven by algorithms and institutional involvement on the automated side. So again, that's not a space where human beings, us, can necessarily have an edge over the competition. Where we can really get really good edges in the discretionary part. And so again, I would say that the supply side of the equation is much more driven by algos and automation, whereas the demand side is again obviously driven by algos, but there's a huge advantage, competitive advantage we can gain in terms of discretion. There'll be decisions we can make that can be made better than algorithms, because obviously they're going to be quite rigid in terms of the programming. They're only going to do or perform as well as they've been programmed or told to do. So really those are the things I wanted to discuss on this page. So we've gone through resting orders, the supply side, we've gone through demand, and then obviously, as I said, there you can finally see what I've just written demand here. Now, just the final point I wanted to make, guys, is look, I've literally spent however long it is, the last 5-10 minutes, talking about all of this. I've spent the entire course talking about all of this stuff. Have I even mentioned a chart? No, look, there's no order flow on a chart. No supply and demand, right? So I hope you can see just how much information you're missing. No supply and demand. These indicators are, I really don't know what they're telling you. They're telling you nothing apart from what's already happened. It's completely ridiculous. As I keep saying, throw this stuff in the dustbin. You don't need it. That's not to say you don't need a chart, and you've seen me, I use a chart. I think charts are very useful, in particular because of VWAP, and I don't want to get into it now, but with VWAP being a dynamic volume profile, i.e. being built in the moment, it is actually quite useful to see it on a chart because it develops over time, and that will become more clear when we get onto that stage. So anyway, these are the things that when you come to practice over the next 2 months, I want you to watch the videos again and again and again. But the main thing is, guys, is practice. Basically, open up your depth of market. Practice, practice, practice. Keep looking at these things. Make sure you understand the difference between market orders versus pending orders, i.e. demand, supply, i.e. namely market orders versus pending orders. Make sure you understand the difference and why market orders are the ones that make price move. Why demand is actually the thing that makes price move. Supply can, but obviously there's always going to be supply at every level. So it's only when demand comes into the market that price is actually going to change. So make sure you understand that. I'm going to try and put some more videos, examples of the depth of market. Obviously, when I get time over the next few weeks and months, I'll add to the course. Obviously, you will have access to all of that. So yeah, guys, just keep coming back to this, understand the things that I've mentioned here, and I'm going to actually come back to this in just one moment because I just want to talk about the volume profile for a sec. Then I'm going to quickly summarize this again in a slide, and then we're going to wrap it up. So coming back to the volume profile, guys, I just wanted to remind you of this because you're going to be doing a lot of exercises on your own, watching the depth of market. Again, don't spend half your life doing this stuff. Sorry about that. But do spend a good amount of time, say 2, 3, 4 weeks if you can, watching this. And I'm going to put some more examples of the type of things to look for. I might put some examples of things called absorption and maybe some tricks and games going on. But for now, keep it simple. Just watch your volume profile develop. And this is why the banana market example was so important, because I wanted you to see how the market will typically trade around a few prices consistently. Now, throughout the day, value may change, but generally, especially on range days, price will generally be attracted to one or two price levels in particular. The reason why I kept going on and on about the banana market is because I just want to remind you that the phenomenon that you see in terms of price continuously building around one or two areas isn't really that much of a phenomenon. It's not really a financial market specific thing, is it? Because it's happening in every market you see. Okay, bananas are one thing, but go and look at any product being sold in supermarkets, wholesale markets, Walmarts, Tesco, Costco, Amazon, bookshops, any single product. Does the price not tend to transact around one level? And then yeah, it might you see guys, what's happening is when it's transacting, think about demand, market orders. Whenever someone buys a book, buys something, transactions are being made. What's that doing? It's building a profile, guys. The price might go up, right? But then it quickly comes back to that area. The price might go down, but then it quickly comes back to the area. Look what's happening, guys. We're just building a profile around this area. Now, don't worry, I'm actually gonna break it down and we're gonna literally strip the profile apart, and I'm gonna show you the characteristics of a profile and why they're important in terms of probability, normal distributions. We're going to get into that in the advanced course, but there's nothing like watching this thing being built in real life because you can actually get an understanding of it. And what I was trying to say in the other slide is, guys, if I look back on my career, watching the profile being built and really understanding that, when people use indicators, they often, and I think this is where you need to start really thinking about, do you want to make the leap from a retail trader to a professional trader? When people are using indicators, doesn't matter which, and I'm not trying to, I know I continuously bash indicators, but I'm not trying to have a go at indicators. In fact, I'm just talking generally. When people use tools and techniques, and obviously they happen to be indicators in this case, doesn't matter which one it is, they're not, you see what it is, they're trying to attach some sort of magic power to something that causes price to move. What they're missing is what is right in front of them and what they are seeing every day around them in terms of prices. Think about it, guys. A financial market has a price. In your day-to-day life, do you not interact with price thousands of times a day? And why I keep talking about this is because this is where the light bulb moment for me was in my trading careers. It just hit me one day. Oh, wow. Price and the way that it's being driven in the real world in terms of demand and supply, people buying, people transacting at one price, volume building in any asset. So it could be a chocolate bar, it could be fish and chips, it could be a curry, it could be like we said, a haircut, it could be gym membership, it could be personal training sessions. Every time someone demands, places a market order, what's happening, guys? Volume is being built at that price. So what do people who supply it start to do? They start to supply at that price. And what dawned on me was, wow, this exact same thing is happening in financial markets every day. Excuse me, my dog. Yeah, so this same thing, exact same thing, is happening in financial markets every day. And the amazing thing about financial markets is, whereas in the real world, we don't necessarily have access to that type of information, right? We don't know the sales that Amazon are making at each price. We don't know, so we can't really do as good as analysis as we can in the financial markets. So would you agree, guys? It's criminal that we are not taking advantage of that. In financial markets, as I'm showing you in the volume profile, guys, we have that information down to the one sale. We have it down to that level. It is there on a plate for you if you're willing to put the time in and understand it. And if you do, the point I was making about indicators, and we attach this some sort of magic to them, that they are what's causing price. The reality is it's supply and demand, and it's right in front of us. And it's no longer placing reliance on something else. It's you starting to use what everyone has the ability to do, this analytical ability to actually read transactional data as it's coming through. So really getting inside price and that real human element of what's going on. Because would you agree, when we use indicators on a chart, etc., we kind of get a little bit detached from reality, I guess is what I'm saying. In the real world, I've said this before on a lot of social media videos, if you're trying to predict the price of where goods or services are likely to go in the future, and keep using this example of chocolate bars, but it's true, right? It could be anything. End of the day, guys, would you use an indicator? No, you wouldn't. You would obviously start to think about, oh, well, how many people have bought chocolate bars at $1? How many have bought them at $1.10? How many bought them at $1.20? What's the supply like? What are other certain factors that could drive supply and demand? Right, it's normal. You're going to look at those factors. My point is that those exact same factors are available in the financial market, and I'm showing you how. And that manifests itself in a volume profile. And again, a volume profile itself isn't any special indicator. You don't add it necessarily on your chart from the left. It's literally just demand. That's it. And that's why I say that I use market orders a lot, because it's showing you the demand side of the equation. So that's what I would suggest, is that you watch this, understand that, and I'm going to develop this, what I'm saying, in the advanced course. And what I'd like to do finally is just give you a quick summary of what I've discussed, and this is what I want you to spend the next couple of months before you even start looking at footprint or any of the other stuff, volume profile, VWAP, and so on. I need you to understand these things. So this is what I want you to understand, guys. One, so make a list of these things, take them off as you understand them, okay? And like I said, I'm going to put some videos over the next few weeks and months as I get time to do this. So I want you to understand market orders versus pending orders, demand versus supply. So this you can get understanding from the banana market, obviously video, go back over it and just watching the depth of market. And same with aggression versus, the aggression being demand and passive intent being supply. Then I want you to understand the supply side games. So do you remember, guys, where there might be 400 contracts on the offer, but actually only 200 get filled? So obviously 200 were fake. So just understand the supply side games. That's important because of the things I was saying 2 slides ago, where I was saying algorithms and so on are now very much in charge of the supply side of the market. It's all run by computers, and I just want you to convince yourself of that when you see the supply side games and how quickly supply can change. It can change in an instant. So that will just prove to you in your mind that there are games going on. But also, I really want you to understand that supply side is very important in its own right in terms of driving price, and that's why I talked about Red Army versus Blue Army at the start. When I do some examples, watch through them, then you'll see what I mean by that. But see, it's not only games going on, supply will also obviously have an effect on price. If there's a heavy supply of sellers, clearly buyers will back off and it will contribute to price falling. And similarly, if there's a big supply of buyers on the bid side, right, if the bids are building, it's clearly going to cause sellers to get nervous or think twice about selling, and therefore cause the price to rise, regardless of obviously market orders will be the ones ultimately causing the price to rise, in the sense that they'll be eating, if you remember, eating through offer side offers or supply on the offer side. But the key point is that if there's a huge amount of bids, i.e. supply side buying, that's going to cause what? Offers to reduce. So there'll be that many less orders for what? Demand to have to eat through to rise. Remind yourself of what I'm talking about. If it's still a bit confusing, go back and watch the banana market example, and remember what actually causes price to go up and down is market orders, but also the amount of supply. So if the price of bananas was going to go up once we bought the 2, I think there was 2, wasn't there, to clear. Obviously if there's 10 to clear, it's going to be that much harder. So supply has an effect. Remind yourself of that with practice, and then understand the action around the volume profile, how it builds, why demand and supply may be attracted to one price. I talked very much about it before. Again, I'll try and put some examples again later. This is something I haven't necessarily talked about, absorption and dome games. I'm going to try and put some examples of this as I get some time over the next few weeks. I'm going to add some videos below. Then guys, this is very important. Watch the depth of market around the Discord levels, sim if you want to. I think that's going to be really useful for you, although I'm not the biggest fan of you going on sim until much later. For this particular purpose, I think it's okay if you want to start to put some simulation trades, just more than anything, just to keep you interested, because it can get quite tedious to watch the volume profile. Obviously, for say an hour at a time, you need heavy concentration. So if you want to put some simulation trades on, by all means do that, just to keep you interested. Don't trade live though, guys, until you know what you're doing. Obviously that's going to take some time as per the timetable that we said that you should build for yourself. And then look, at the end of the day, guys, you're going to have free access to future trade videos. I'm going to try my best to put a few examples as and when obviously I get time. I'll try and record some depth of market at the same time that I'm trading in the mornings, and upload those, and obviously we'll let you know about those as those come about. It's very much a dynamic course. I'm going to try and improve it at all times, so hopefully you see the benefit of that. And then finally, and this is a crucial point, guys, I use I've forgotten the software, what it's called, but one of these screen recording softwares, might be Snagit, I think. I've forgotten what it's called. But guys, even if you work, record the depth of market on a screen recorder, and then come back, watch it at the weekends, watch it in the evenings. It doesn't have to be live. In fact, some of my best learning happened when I recorded it, and then I re-watched it back, because you can slow it down, and this is absolutely crucial. In fact, out of everything, I would say this is the number one point on this whole slide. The most important point is record it. Even if you do have time to watch it and you don't have work at the time, record it and come back to it and keep watching it, and you'll notice different things, because you saw when I was doing the banana market example, guys, there was like, 20 different things going on. So obviously, until you get used to it and well versed in it, you're just not gonna notice everything if you keep it at full speed. So slow it down, keep watching it, rewatching it. We'll try and do some sessions if I can, in terms of like something on YouTube, maybe like a big Q&A with a whole bunch of people, and then watch it. And if you've got any questions, then during one of those sessions maybe you can ask. But again, that's something we'll let you know about as it develops. As of the time of me doing this course, obviously I haven't organized everything, but it's definitely in my mind to do something like that, to continue the education and help people if they've got questions. And then make sure you log your time. If you decide, right, I'm going to spend 30 hours on depth of market as step one to make sure I understand all these things, guys, log your time spent. If you spend half an hour and that's all you can do at a time, it's fine. I know it's hard to, you'll find it hard to concentrate just watching the depth of market go up and down, but you've got to stick at it. Take half an hour, 1 hour, take a break. Half an hour, 1 hour, take a break. Log your time. And then, like I said, have a minimum goal, maybe 30 hours. Or the way I would do it is I would have this as a checklist, and once you've understood all these factors to a decent level, then move on to footprint. Until then, guys, you're doing yourself a disservice. So go through all of that. And I guess all that's left for me to say is, look, I've really enjoyed putting this foundation part of the course together. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm happy to commit to you that I'm gonna do my best to put some extra tutorial videos underneath in terms of some examples of me trading and so on and so forth. But again, guys, look, spend a good month or two going over all these topics before you even start the advanced course, and then crack on to the advanced once you've understood all these things. Guys, if it takes you 1 year to understand this, that year is going to be the best year you spent, and I guarantee you that you're going to come out of it better than most recruits or trainees at professional trading firms. There's nothing wrong with spending more time than the allotted time I've been talking about. Guys, end of the day, if you can spend 2 years doing just this stuff, and building an understanding of demand and supply and volume profile, building on a depth of market, you're going to be laughing at the end of it, because you're understanding. I know it doesn't seem like that now, but when you come to do VWAP and volume, and I apologize, I've been going on and on and on about this, it's just because I cannot stress enough how important this is to volume profile and VWAP. That's why I keep going on about this, because what's going to happen is when you come to do volume profile and VWAP, if you don't do this, the danger is you're gonna keep thinking of volume profile and VWAP as indicators. Whereas if you've got a true deep understanding of how the volume profile builds from the first transaction to the 100,000th transaction, guys, can you imagine your understanding when you come to actually trade VWAP and volume profile? It's going to be unbelievable. You're just going to know it like the back of your hand, and it's going to give you this intuitive feel for things that many professional traders don't have, because they didn't spend the time doing this. So forgive me for constantly lecturing you, but I hope you understand that I'm doing it because you've obviously tasked me with passing on my experience and knowledge, and my experience and knowledge tells me that this is absolutely crucial. So therefore I stressed it. Anyway, have a great time doing this. If you've got any questions, fire them across. Obviously can't promise that I'll be able to answer them immediately, but I'll do my best to get some answers, if not directly then to the community, to you. But enjoy it, and like I said, take your time. Thanks guys, see you on the other side.